It's kind of an announcement. What the hell is going on?
Right? No, no, that's, yeah. See, last time you said you're proud of the meeting sort of out till, so like January. Which, maybe these guys sound like they're I mean, I don't know, it's supposed to be at this point, but like it's, I mean, we're like. Right. Yeah, exactly. No, that's the plan. And so, as you said, here's what I'm thinking about. I'm gonna decide by then. And I understand, but not only do I understand, but I recommend that you start doing whatever you need to do, because no point in waiting on. Then there's something that can happen, right? And you can always like put balls and stop, reconsider, you can't go back in 6 months. So that's kind of where we're at. And so, yes, but not on defense.
Well, somebody suggested that. No, because somebody could fly. There. Soon, then the spec comes up.
I mean, that's possible. I mean, I guess you can jump on that. If there was, we can set it up. I can be fine, because I don't want to like office, so they can see the transition, but really it's. That he did it, he was a West. So.
No, I mean, we'll see, like, there's going to be students,
I think it's most found somebody who's a lot of that. It's not like it's trying to some lines, see how popular it be, but like a city it's all over the place. I think it's just, the running around, people that really, it's draws.
but,
Not in let's say, so I saw it on the way, and I mean, I told other people now, it's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's something secret about it. Shoot, I just was somebody. I was talking to David one of the part of the works. And I was like, okay, one more. It seems like he thinks we're on the job. So I'm waiting. I want to. It's like, oh yeah, it's right. That's fine. Hopefully he's saying it in a positive way. That wow.
Ahem.
there. So the great blacks will not be extinct. It wind up texting maybe. It's up against the offer. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting about a second.
Yeah. I called. So I kind of started to think,
So I assume that must be. So. No. Yeah. Yeah, we're upstairs.
Yeah, the projectors like bloop, 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 bloop. So Brian said that you should have my slides also. I had 3 slides. It's about the grow pop-up, the stormwater, and then the spotted lantern flies. Correct, he said. Nice. Okay. He said it may like be emailed to you or something like that. Okay. It probably was because I sent it to him today at like, and he said that like, he was just think it's not integrated. And I was just thinking like, you pull these down or not, but it's totally fine. So just add them in here.
Well, there is ways.
Yeah.
They get in trouble for humans. They put them in their own name, they take the hospital. That saves them money. All these weird things.
Hey. Slide down over here.
Nice and some additional slides today. To go with that.
We need to just this volume.
Upstairs.
Do you want me to email it? I can email it to a separate account if you'd like me to. Oh, okay. Cool. That's totally fine, because I'll just cover those really quickly. If that's easier than trying to import them at this point. Okay, super easy, just bring them up. Excellent. Okay. Cool. And I need to be up at that microphone in order to be heard.
I mean, either one, but it's less churchy.
Okay,
So usually I think, after we've been here many times.
okay, cool. All right. Yeah.
If it doesn't come home, the answer is yes. That one's ours. Is that right? I think when you start this one, when people are coming in, just see that. And then just rotate it.
Hey, did y'all get your check? Yes.
We did today. Thank you very much.
Well, okay. Thanks for your help. I went down to add up all your receipts, because I had it sitting here and I was like, wait a second. I was like, oh, this is actually a lot of money. I had to process that. I mean, hey, and you have somebody's trying to get in, being me. Let me in. Yeah, you can. It's on the top of the screen. Yup. Careful. And go ahead and click, well, I don't know what you're doing right now, but click resume slideshow. Then it'll pop out big again. Or just click from beginning, that works too. From beginning. I don't know why it was being tricky for you there, but it's a funky mouse surface, especially for an IR mouse.
I got that. I went on that. I went on click. No, I got the email. Click on www.hackertown.com and it said, go to YouTube. So I go to YouTube and he told me, so you see all the old things, right? And I said, yeah. But it said, click on the link when you go on that website.
Yeah, I was just there.
And
Right.
I was gonna stay home, but I said, all the mapping I'm doing, I'm.
Yeah, right there. You gotta click on the go to Zoom and then you're good to go. Which name again?
Maria.
Maria, what? Mark Parker, good to see
I
you.
pester the shit out of him. He's
Well,
such a nice guy though. He put up a camera for me in my alley and somebody stole it.
oh,
Yeah,
that's so good.
cause you know what, our alley, on the even side, is one way in and one way out.
Right.
You can't, a car cannot go down there. So all these people that leave the bar, they're pissing in our alley, pissing on our houses.
Sure. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good at all.
Somewhere in the next.
Hey, Amanda.
Have some people on the top. You taking notes? Oh,
Am I supposed to?
you almost didn't know
Who's,
something.
wow. Who takes the minutes here? Please record it. Yeah.
Some people accuse me of being, what, Chris? Yeah, Mr. John. I'll talk to you later, bye. But I love that. I grew up speaking Italian, so Spanish, when I was Spanish, I did very well. People in my life are pretty nice, but I just can't change, you know, they're singers. So let me sing you something right here.
Yeah,
You know, and they deserve respect,
absolutely.
you know? I want to join you. I know you like, read it that bar, one bar.
The pint?
Pint.
Go out and pint. We were there every single Thursday.
I know, and I was like, I don't drink, I don't go to bars anymore, but I think, I'll have like, I'll buy a bottle of wine and somebody gets me a bottle, I have it in my fridge and drink it. I always wanted to go over, and the only bar I went to right now is Brennan's Town.
Sure. It is. It is.
And that's what I like, you know,
I want to be there with neighbors, you know?
my sister's at the Columbus right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I like it.
Like she's working there? Or
No.
just hanging out there?
She hangs it, she goes there a lot.
Does she?
With my sister.
Maybe I recognize that. I'm down there
Oh, I
like
got a
once.
picture of her. Wait a minute. I got a picture. of
Y'all good, Ann?
her.
For the what?
Here she is. On the left. Her last name's Farah. Her husband passed away mid-February. There he is. Yeah, and then my mother died 2 weeks later.
Oh, no.
And then a month later, her father and brother died. So
Oh, my gosh.
we had so close together, but she goes there a lot. Vera and her good friend of hers, Barracudas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so she's well known there too. They actually, I think they actually made Yeah. You got to work the bottom, just to the side. Then they give out, right? Thank you so much.
Very well. I didn't do anything. You did everything. I just gave words to first.
No, I had to do it. So let me go to the board on that.
Hey, how are you?
Oh. Yeah. Probably is. This old turkey full of cheese.
No doubt. So people don't fall asleep on it.
I know, but your butt hurt when you get up.
Can't have me too comfortable.
I know.
Say what?
How old is this church?
The building,
Yeah, the building.
this building, 1920.
Oh, I know, that's not too bad.
The church overall, 1900. The original building was next door.
Okay.
And then they built this in 24, they tore that down in 50 and built the expansion. So that's the other side of that wall. That's why there's stained glass windows there, because when they built it, there was like air and sunlight on the other side of it. And now there's a gym. You know, so they put in a bunch of light bulbs so you can turn on the sun, and turn it off.
What type of Baptist mission?
Lutheran. Yes.
Oh, goodness, the churches. I went to a Lutheran church
Yeah. Where was?
over there, go back John Hopkins,
Yeah, they make the great. We got two churches. We got one on each side of the house.
yeah, but that happens, you know, where, they carry out the, outpatient.
Yeah, that's
You turn up there at church right there.
that's St. Philip.
Yeah, my girlfriend, mother paid church, she affiliated with another half, so that church that they did. And it been a lot of years, 10 years. And we all had to bring like she.
The pastor, what's funny is the pastor at that time, pastor Mike God. He was not a typical pastor. And his services were, we call it like country, but they were way more Catholic than most Lutheran services are. So if he was doing the service, which it sounds like, I have no doubt that it was a little different. We're a little more relaxed than we do. But it doesn't mean that people are wrong, which is,
No, I understand.
you know, just a little different. Yeah, he's retired.
So what's the difference in Lutheran and Baptist? Like,
Well, it depends what kind of Baptist you're talking about. Maybe.
regular Baptist.
Well, because there's Southern and there's American Baptist, National Baptist, they all different too. But in general, I mean, the history is way different, right? Baptist folks, they come from England, but mostly it's kind of created in the United States. Lutheran were immigrants. So, the Lutheran church started in Germany, Norway, Sweden, Finland. And so they all came over here, like some of our discriminators speaking in German and in Finnish and Swedish and Norwegian. I mean, they said they set up the churches like the Norwegian church, everybody spoke Norwegian. There's a cultural and well, you have these later, they stopped speaking Norwegian, because all not Catholics. But it was still kind of culturally a Norwegian church, they're eating Norwegian, celebrating holidays. So it took a long time for Lutherans to realize that there were other people in the world, and not just, you know, people who came from their same heritage. So that's part of the difference, whereas Baptists were very different.
But y'all go by the same mile. That's what I'm wondering, y'all go by the same mile.
Yeah. I think that's our biggest differences between Lutherans and Baptists. One is that we baptize people from the Lutherans, maybe all the way up to the dying day.
What's the difference in Lutheran and Catholic?
Well, it's not baptism, it's more, some of it's our structure. So, instead of top down, like the book down. So our churches, elect our churches, I would let it sort of happen.
Oh, you're the pastor?
I am, yeah.
I
So,
didn't correct the story. You know,
Yeah, right.
you a lie. I was thinking, oh, you know,
that's why, that's my favorite.
she had a priest, no paper, that's loud and became an official.
Well, and so Lutheran pastors in there, and women can be Lutheran pastors, so I married to another Lutheran pastor. you know, we have, our church has. And there is a, so then there.
Yeah.
So again, the power comes from us, so like the church here makes its own decisions. And we elect our pastors, we also elect our bishops, the bishops serve only like 6 years at a time. Unlike the Catholic Church, we get appointed, you're in the doctor, life, so you didn't for retirement, so it's more democratic. The other thing is, we tend to emphasize the gracious love of God that is for us in Jesus Christ, and isn't dependent on our actions or on our choices or on anything we do. That everything begins with God's love, and then our discipleship comes from that. Right? So God loves us, God loves the world in Jesus Christ, and then therefore we respond with lives of love and service and charity and justice for our neighbors. As opposed to some churches which say, well, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that, and then God will love you. No, we just take a lot of commercials. We start with God first, and then we move on.
Next talking to you.
That's something I'm on.
Mom, I'm gonna have to come visit.
Always.
That's Sherry.
It's
Shelley.
All right, let's get started, everyone. 7 o'clock straight up, more or less. A few things. We have we're switching our format a little bit. We're going to start putting up our kind of routine, like announcement kinds of things up on the screen over here, and just let them roll. Because there's a lot of things that are kind of redundant. We run through them every month, and we don't really need to if it's up there. But for now, I am gonna, and can you put that screen back up there for just a sec? And maybe toggle through, and I'm just gonna read them as we go, at least for this month until we get a little better established with this. So there's our agenda for tonight. The one change is that the Creative Alliance will not be here tonight. They had a scheduling malfunction or something. They tried to get somebody else from the Creative Alliance to come and attend, and they were unable to do so. They did offer to, literally phone it in on Zoom, and I wasn't convinced that we would get sort of the gist of what they wanted. I felt more comfortable that we'd be able to put on a good presentation if they were here in person. So I have a few announcements for them as we get into the meeting, but they will not be here tonight. Can you roll on to the next one? All right, so most of these slides, we're just going to let these roll through every time, but I'm going to read through them very quickly now. We always urge people to use 311, use it often, make it your friend. 311 is free for all of us to report any problems that we may have with city services. And, they be it a stop sign that's down, street lights not working, potholes, trash not being picked up, dumping situations, whatever the case may be, all this stuff can be reported on 311 and non-emergency police issues as well. So next one, please. So when you're calling 311, if you really want to be able to do anything with it, if you don't get any response, the response that you want, you'll need to have that report number. So write that report number down if you're phoning it in. If you're using the 311 app or the reporting it on the website, if you're a registered 311 user, it's going to store all of your information and give you that 311 report number. So you can look it up quickly. And if that pothole has not been fixed in a timely fashion in your mind and you're not happy with the way it's gone, you can email that 311 number to your council representative, and maybe they can, lean on somebody at DOT or DPW or, whoever it is and try to get something done. So that number is very important to have. The 311 app is free. Next slide. The 311 app is free. The place to get it is right on there for you can to log into the website. The link is right there. It is free on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, all of the places where you get your apps. It's free. It's a little bit tedious to sign up for, and it is not the most user-friendly app in the world, but once you get used to it, it is going to record that number for you, and that's what's important. So hang on to that. Next slide. 911. 311 is good for almost everything, including non-emergency police functions. 911, however, anytime there is an emergency condition that requires immediate response. The beauty of both of these things is it creates like a heat map with the city. So if there's a series of 911 calls that are related to a particular accident that is prone to accidents, or say a house that is prone to, altercations or something like that. So when you're reporting anything on 911, you want to be as specific as possible. Like, you don't want to just say at this location. If there's a problem that's emanating from a particular property, you want to use that property number on there, because that's going to pin it to that location. And that's very important as well, because it's going to build a history for that facility, or that home, business, whatever the case may be. Next slide. Cop walks are what were once weekly cop walks are now monthly. We are going to be walking on the first Tuesday of every month. We're meeting at the corner of South Conkling Street and Goff Street, which is where we've been meeting all along. We meet at 7 o'clock. The police department sends a police officer with us, and we go and point out things that we are concerned about, or we feel that the police department should be concerned about. And we very often, mostly what we're doing is reporting trash and dumping in buildings that are open to casual entry on the 311 app. So almost all of my 311 reports that show up on my app are on Tuesday nights, because that's when I'm out walking and that's when I'm doing it. When you're on the walk with us, we follow the direction and the concerns of any participants. So we don't necessarily have an agenda when we step out. If you've got something that concerns you, we will do our best to address your concerns. If you're not comfortable coming along, I mean, these are police matters. If you're not comfortable walking past a particular location or something, you can email it to me at highlandtown21224@gmail. That's Highlandtown, our zip code, @gmail.com. That comes straight to me. We can put it on the next cop walk. You can join us at the corner and not walk past that particular site. We want you to be comfortable, expressing whatever your concerns may be to a police officer or to other concerned people. Next slide. Can't read it from here. The Highlandtown Community Association encourages residents and businesses to install and maintain camera systems, and to have those cameras trained on the adjacent streets, alleys, and public areas outside of the business. The idea being, you're not only with your cameras, you're not only looking for a problem that pertains to your property, you're also looking out for your neighbors. So, the odds of my catching somebody breaking into my house are pretty slim, but the odds of my catching camera footage of somebody who's broken into a house down the street and he goes by my cameras, it could very well make the difference between, we saw this guy who was wearing a, blue shirt, to my capturing him at the same time and turning it over to the police. Any camera footage that is acquired can be sent to the police department at sedtips@baltimorepolice.org, SED Southeast District tips@baltimorepolice.org. We also ask that these businesses or individuals register their cameras with the City Watch Community Partnership. So City Watch is the program that runs the cameras that have the blue lights that we used to see on poles all the time. Most of them don't have blue lights on them anymore. But it's the same program, and they have a community partnership where they have a registered list of cameras throughout the city. These are privately owned cameras. And if something happens on a particular block, they can go to the list, they can say, hey, this particular camera might have found something. And they may call you, reach out to you in some fashion, knock on your door and say, hey, would your camera have anything from this particular day at this particular time? And you can share that information with them. People are often concerned about a privacy issue with this. You are under no obligation to actually turn the footage over. We ask that you do. We think it's to your benefit to do that because we all want a city with less crime. However, you're under no obligation. The police will not have direct access to your camera system. So it's yours. And, frankly, I mean, if it was unplugged one day and wasn't working, I mean, that you're under no obligation to the police department to share the footage. But, again, we hope that you will, and we hope that you register the cameras. Next slide. Seasonal hot topics. So we're coming into the fall. Weather is going to be getting cool before long. And as every other year, we're going to ask that people keep an eye out for properties that are open to casual entry. So this is an unoccupied building, whether it's technically vacant or abandoned, or if it's just, nobody's living in it at the time. The building is considered open to casual entry. It can be reported on 311, which is the way to go. There is actually that language comes directly from 311. Open to casual entry means the door is not secure, the window is open, people are climbing in and out the window. And, we want to put an end to that because people who are seeking shelter, they certainly deserve shelter. Everybody needs to get in and out of the rain and not freeze. But if they're, finding a way to access a heat source inside of a building, now we've got a problem. And we've seen that happen before where, somebody has been trying to stay warm in a vacant property and set the place on fire. And suddenly you've got a couple of houses in a row that are not habitable for a period of time. So it is very important that we do that. If there is a concern with a homeless person experiencing homelessness in one of these properties who may need help, we can try to direct some help to them. They're under no obligation to accept help, but we can certainly try. So first and foremost, we want to look out for the neighbors, and make sure that we don't have a fire or something. Next slide. Keith, you want to say a few words?
Hey, everybody. So I'm Keith, and I am one half of the operating duo that runs the Highlandtown Basement Bar Tour every year. Hold on, trying to get back on track. Okay, so the Highlandtown Basement Bar Tour. If you've never attended or you're not sure what it is, the Highlandtown Basement Bar Tour is an annual house tour that we run, where essentially we get a handful of hosts together that open their homes to us as the residents and anyone that attends. And every one of those hosts is going to offer some kind of small food, some kind of alcoholic beverage. It is 21 and up, I should mention. And when you first arrive, you get your map, you get your ticket, and you take that map and you wander around the neighborhood of Highlandtown and you hit each individual house. There'll be a whole bunch of businesses that are on there as well. You do that from 2 to 6. And at 6 o'clock, there's a reception at the old Di Pasquale's building. The reception is held by Di Pasquale's in their parking lot. There'll be a bonfire, food, wine, et cetera, until it comes to a close. So I want to announce that it's happening on November 12th. I also want to petition anyone that is listening out that if you are willing to be a host with us this year, we very much would love to have you. With the more hosts that we have, the more attendees we can let participate. We try to keep those numbers running with one another, so we're not overwhelming our hosts with way too many people. So if we have 4 houses, we're not going to allow 300 people to go on the tour. So the more houses that we have, the more homes, the more hosts, the more that we can let attend. So if you're listening and you're interested, please let us know. Either here tonight, you can speak with me, or at highlandtownbasementbartour@gmail.com. Shoot us an email, let us know you're interested, and we can give you the full rundown of how it works, how the stipends work that we'll give you for the purchasing of that alcohol and food or whatever. And we can go from there. Sound good? All right, thank you.
All right, for those who've never been on it, the Highlandtown Basement Bar Tour is a ton of fun. You get to snoop into people's homes, see how they decorate, and have a good time. It's also a ton of fun to host, actually. You don't get to spend the time snooping into other people's houses, but you'll have 200 people kind of parade through your house and fuss over your stuff. And it's actually a lot of fun to host. I've done it twice. I would do it this year, but my house is not quite settled enough for it at this time. But yeah, it's an awful lot of fun to host, and it's an awful lot of fun to go on. And it is one of our 2 big fundraisers every year. So we hope you'll tell your friends and come out, and we hope 1 or 2 of you will consider hosting. Next slide. All right, so I have a few announcements for the Creative Alliance, both for the Creative Alliance. First, the Great Halloween Lantern Parade is coming up on October 22nd. Rain date will be Sunday, the 23rd. This is a huge deal in Patterson Park. There will be thousands of people out, and the deal is it steps out just after dark. There are what essentially are hand carried and trolleyed and rolled lighted parade float things. People are making lanterns that they carry with them, all kinds of outlandish costumes. There are marching bands from the schools, and it is just a bright, loud, fun event to participate in. It really is a ball. And it really showcases Southeast Baltimore and the neighborhoods around the park. So it's great for us, and it's great for everybody who comes, because everybody has a good time. So creativealliance.org, I think, is the website. I didn't put that up there. .org. You can find more information about it there. .org. Mark is confirmed. The other thing that is coming up is the grand opening of the new Creative Center at the corner of Eastern Avenue and Southeast Street. This is across the street on the south side of the street, across from the Patterson Theater, where the Creative Alliance makes their home. And that event will be on November 12th from 11 to 4 o'clock. I don't know a lot about it. They were supposed to be here tonight for it. And so I don't have a lot of details on that. But it will be a lot of fun, and it's a really cool facility. I know a little bit about the programming that's going to be there, but I want to know more. So looking forward to that. Next slide. So tonight we have the owner of the New Ecstasy Bar at East Lombard and Grundy Street will be proposing a transfer of a liquor license at that location. They will go on at about 7:40, and we'll have about 10 minutes. And then at 7:50, we have the Creative Alliance lined up, but they've had to reschedule. I don't think it'll be next month, because I've got 2 presenters already for next month. It will probably be November, but they will be back. In their stead, we have now had a request from DOT to make a presentation. So they're not here. We'll be bringing that in virtually, and hopefully without a hitch. So they will have something for us in a little while. And next slide. Might be it. That's it. All right. So first, I will open the floor up to board members who have anything to present or discuss. Kat, there we go.
Hey, I'm Kat Klosek, and I think Graham is gonna come up and chat with us in a sec. But before he does, I'm also on the board of Friends of Patterson Park, and I I lied. I did have something else to say. We're having a Mueveton event this Saturday at the park from 9 to 12. There's a free 5K. You can walk or run. And dogs and strollers are welcome. Registration starts at 8:30 and that'll be by the Virginia Baker Rec Center. Now I'd like to invite Graham up. I think folks know that we've raised $20,000 for a pedestrian safety project on Eastern and Elwood. And we're very excited to be working with Graham Projects on that and with all of you. And that's all I got. Let's hear from Graham.
Were we able to? Man, I wouldn't do full screen. Around here. It's in pages. What's that? It's in what? It's a 2-page PDF. Oh, okay. I thought you said it was in pages. I was like, I ain't gonna work.
I don't mess with those programs. So hey, everyone, my name is Graham Carell Allen, and I'm a public artist. I live in Mondawmin, where I also serve as the president of the New Auchentrally Terrace Association. So it's really great to be here with you all, feel right at home in a community association meeting. So as a public artist, I'm really motivated by helping to improve neighborhoods with you all, with folks right here in the neighborhood, thinking about, what are some of the beautiful things that exist? What are some of the challenges? And how can we work together to create public art to address these needs and also just celebrate culture? Next slide, please. So most of the type of work that we do with my company, which is called Graham Projects, is something called traffic calming. Traffic calming basically just means slowing down cars. You all may be familiar with these like little white posts that kind of propped up around the park and other places. What those are called are flex posts, and they're combined with line striping to create a low-cost intervention into traffic, which essentially shortens the crosswalk distance. In other words, the risk, the period of time at which you are at risk of being struck by a car. It also helps to preserve sight lines for turning cars and pedestrians waiting to cross the street. And it more or less forces cars to take it nice and slow and easy when they do pass through those intersections and take those corners. One of the cool things about traffic calming is we can integrate art. And in doing so, my company and I are always rooted in a community-based process. So we're really honored and excited to be here, invited by the Highlandtown organization to hear about your ideas for what kind of art might we use to beautify and further activate traffic calming at Eastern and Elwood. Next slide, please. And so here at the corner of Patterson Park, we have been told that this has been identified as a primary intersection of great priority for traffic calming to really make it safer for people to cross Eastern Avenue and get into the park. And so here you can see colored in blue are these curb extensions, also known as bump outs. And the blue area more or less highlights where art can go. And so on the upper right, we have a drone shot that we recently took. And on the lower right, I have what's known as an illustrative plan. So that's just to kind of give you a sense of what might art look like. It's not the art that you're going to get. Whatever we end up developing is always going to be together. And so tonight we're excited to announce a couple of things. One is an online drawing tool that you and your kids and your neighbors can all use to help suggest ideas. This tool is called Color Row, which stands for Coloring the Right of Way. I don't have a slide for it at the moment, but I did bring flyers, and I'll drop those at the table on the way out. The website is makeplacehappen.org/Highlandtown. And this website is a great opportunity to draw your ideas. If you don't feel like drawing, that's perfectly fine. You can also type in ideas. If you don't want to write, you can also just attach some photos, maybe that you've seen a mural or stained glass work or whatever it is that you love about visual art, or maybe even something else that we can take inspiration of. We'll use these ideas to develop a set of different artwork designs, which we'll then share back with you all for feedback and ultimately for folks to select. In addition to the online tool, we're also going to be hosting a pop-up event where we're going to set up a tent and have drawing tables where people of all ages are invited to come and draw their own ideas for how might we decorate that intersection with public art. And once again, all this will feed into our inspiration and our design process. And so I look forward to working with you all. I know you've got a full agenda, so unless there's anything else, I can have a seat.
And Graham's team put together graphics and all kinds of stuff that we can share on our HCA website afterwards. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Graham. Anybody else from the board? Aaron, pretty close.
Oh, man. Sorry, you didn't share that screen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erin Curley. I am one of the organizers at the Conkling Street Garden, and I wanted to share 3 quick announcements for you tonight. The first one is that on October 12th, which is a Wednesday, from 5 to 7 p.m., we'll be hosting a Grow pop-up event at the garden. This is an event that's held by the DPW, and they bring in different departments within the city to talk about the services that they provide, hand out information, answer your questions. Some of the departments that'll be joining us, we think, on the 12th are the Office of Sustainability. We'll probably have housing there. We'll have a group that can talk about the Adopt a Lot program, others that can talk about trash pickup, recycling, and we'll have
Hello?
the Baltimore City Master Gardeners there to answer your
Yes.
gardening and plant questions.
Yes.
One of the other things that
I
they
didn't
do
recognize the phone number. I didn't recognize the phone number.
is they give away trees if you happen to have an empty tree pit in front of your house, or you have open space in your backyard that isn't a concrete pad. They'll have trees there that are good for the city. Generally, they're too big for containers, so keep that in mind. The other thing that they do is they bring in a truck full of mulch. So if you have a tree put out front, or you have some other projects around your house, you can fill up a trash bag, a contractor bag that they bring with mulch and take it home with you. It is rather heavy, so you might want to drive down to the garden that day. The next announcement I have is the Office of Sustainability is also looking for recommendations on places around the neighborhood where they can install rainwater runoff management systems. So it is things like bump outs that you see like in front of the American Radiology building on Fleet Street, areas where they've pulled up pavement and they've put in a bed. So there's an example of that in front of Snake Hill on Clinton, almost at Eastern. And the idea is that basically they want to capture water before it goes into the city's storm drain system. So they're under a mandate from both the federal government and the state government to reduce the amount of hard surfaces around the neighborhood and around the city. So what we're doing is we're going to post a survey at both the Highlandtown website and the different social media accounts for the neighborhood, with a link to a Google form doc where you can actually recommend places where we can then pass this information on to the DPW. And they will then have their engineers take a look at it, see if it's a viable option, and if so, move forward with it. One of the things that they try to do is avoid taking out too many parking spots if they do bump outs. They need to avoid utility lines, existing drains, and bus stops. What they're looking for are places where you might see flooding right now, or you might have long stretches of curb where there are no drains. She said flat out, Highlandtown has a lot of drains, so our options may be limited. But if you know of a place, like I said, we'll post this link in the different social media accounts and also on the website. It's a pretty straightforward survey, just a couple of questions, and we're looking for your input on what you've seen and where you've seen flooding around the neighborhood. And then my last one.
Would you step forward and be more
Yes.
than like to?
Okay, sorry. And the last one that I have is, you may have heard about the spotted lanternflies. They are in Baltimore now. So they're a highly invasive species. They will take out grape crops, fruit tree crops. Now I'm hearing myself. So we want to basically, the message is stomp them out. So if you see them, and there's some photos of the different life phases that they go through, from eggs to nymphs and then the adult. So they're actually quite pretty. They have little spotted backs and red underwings. And what you want to do is, if you see them, step on them. The Maryland Department of Natural Resources and the State Agriculture Department, they are looking for reports. If you see one, report it to them. There's a website that you can go to and report the information on. If you see the little egg, I guess it's a location where their eggs are. It looks like a smear of mud. Scrape it off, put it in something that is alcohol based, like a plastic bag or a container of water, something that has some alcohol in it. So that is basically something to watch for from now through the end of fall, are these little bugs. They are in Harbor East. There are quite a few in Harbor East. So they're coming this way. They happen to like the ailanthus plant, which is the tree of heaven or the palm of heaven, that are all over the neighborhood. So that's where they go when they sort of look for new places to move to. So keep an eye out for them. Any questions? All right, thanks. Well, I hope to see you on October 12th at the pop-up. They love the palm of heaven. So the palm of heaven is basically a weed. It is another invasive tree species that it tends to have palm-like leaves coming off of one central stem and multiple stems coming off of main roots. If you snap a branch or take a leaf, it stinks. It smells horrible. That's how you know that it's this plant. It sends up shoots. It sends up seed pods. The seed pods are brown with like a central seed in the middle. They kind of fly around like helicopters. So these are plants, and they are on the side of the road. We have a huge one in the garden. If you see them, that's probably a good place to start looking for the lanternfly. Okay. Any other questions? All right. And as a former host for the Basement Bar Tour, it is a lot of fun, but please no snooping.
I remember, wow, we'll get into that. There's been incidences where people are rummaging all around in houses, and now we put up kind of a hard, no on the upstairs and that kind of thing. Yeah. All right, don't be scared. It's a lot of fun. It really is a ton of fun. That's right. There was kids on that one. I remember now. Is there anything else from the board? I don't have anything myself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Parker. I serve as pastor here at Breath of God Lutheran Church. So first of all, welcome you. Glad to have you all with us. There's restrooms down to either side. There's a gender inclusive kind of single stall restroom down to the right. And there's a ladies' room down to the left, and then a men's room down and far to the left. So either way, you'll find somewhere that you need to go. I think two announcements today. One is that the Clinton Street Community Center project is ongoing. That's, if you recall, there was a fire here just down Clinton Street on the 100 block in November of 2020 that ripped through 3 houses and damaged the church some. And so the community responded immediately to help support the families that were displaced and to help in the rebuilding process. The church wound up buying 2 of the buildings, one to form the Clinton Street Community Center. One opens in April as an expansion of the Highlandtown Preschool to allow us to serve 2-year-old students. And so now that building is completely filled with 22 2-year-olds, which is really exciting. And then the second building took longer because it was in a foreclosure process and the owner had died prior to the fire and all the rest. So that's still under construction and will open in the wintertime as refugee housing. So we'll host a refugee family from Ukraine or Afghanistan or wherever they may happen to be from, usually for a year or 2 at a time, and help to welcome them here into the neighborhood. So there's 2 requests around that. One is that to try to save money, but which is always a good thing, but also to try to get lots of people engaged in the project. We're doing the painting and the flooring ourselves. So the contractor's handling all the super complicated things, and we figured we could do those 2 things without messing it up too badly. So if you're interested, we'll be mobilizing lots of volunteers. It'll start next Sunday, and then it'll be the next weekend too. So this coming Sunday, and then the Friday, Saturday, Sunday of the following weekend as we get into as we cross into October. So if you're interested in getting some painting done, that's great. We'll do the flooring in a week or 2 later once the contractor comes in and does some more work. So painting to help welcome a new refugee family is great. What we're also doing now this fall is we're looking for people to serve on our refugee team. The goal is to have a good group of neighbors of a variety of backgrounds who want to walk alongside and support this family over their year or 2, kind of getting their feet established here. Well, who would serve on that? One, just kind of people who are really open and curious to walk alongside folks who are coming from another country, and especially from a place that they've experienced devastation or difficulty of some kind. So people who have a lot of compassion and curiosity, and especially kind of cultural flexibility and respect is like a baseline. But then also people who may be bringing some special expertise. Maybe you have a social work background, maybe you have an education background, maybe you know how to navigate city living, maybe you have done work or can be helpful in terms of helping people find jobs or employments. Maybe you really understand the healthcare system and it can help folks navigate kind of finding their primary care physician and kind of working through Medicaid and things like that. So we're looking to build out that team with people in general who are committed to that mission of welcome and support, but also who have skills to kind of help people get established here in Highlandtown, and we can help them get off to a good start. So if you're interested in that or in the painting and the flooring process, come and check in with me. Again, my name is Mark Parker, and you can find me lots of places online and all the rest, as well as right here in person. The second announcement has to do with we're getting back. We haven't done it since 2019, which is true of a lot of things like the basement bar tour. But we have a sour beef and German beer Oktoberfest celebration, which will be coming up on October what are the Sundays in October? The 2nd, the 9th, the 16th? Is that right? Great. It'll be October 16th. So we'll get started around 12:30 and finish up around 4 o'clock. The Ravens are out of town that day. So assuming that you can still turn on the Ravens game after what happened on Sunday, then you're welcome to do so here or just be in the other room away from the TV. And either way, we'll have great food. For those who've been around the neighborhood a while or just know the name, Hausner's Restaurant, which was kind of a famous German restaurant here in the neighborhood for many, many decades. We have their sour beef recipe. And so we use it. It was given to us with their blessing by the last owner of Hausner, Steve George, who died this last year or 2 years ago during the pandemic. So grateful to him for his passing that information, that tradition along to us, and glad to share it still with the neighborhood. So it's a fundraiser for our preschool, which I mentioned before. So tickets, I think are $25 an adult, which is kind of all the food you want and the beer you want to drink. And then $10 for kids like age 12 to 17 and free for kids under that. So again, that's on the 16th and it'll be downstairs here. That's it. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Mark. Anybody else from the board? From the board? Anything else from the floor in general? Larry?
Hi there, I'm Amanda with Highlandtown Main Street and the Southeast CDC. There's a few flyers I left at the back for everybody. So I just wanted to remind people that there are healthy neighborhood loans available. So if you're looking to renovate your home, please take a look and you can contact Andy at our office. Also, if you don't own your own home, you can learn how to do that through our classes. And lastly, if you do own a home, but you're behind on mortgage, property taxes, or water bills, give us a call. There's some folks who can guide you through some processes to help. So those are just some things around homeownership I thought you might want to remember from the Southeast CDC. And then you heard about a lot of great events tonight. We actually have a Highlandtown Partners Group that meets twice a year, and we try to compile all those events for you. So if you weren't diligently taking notes tonight, it's okay. We put them all on this piece of paper and it's in the back for you. So grab it on your way out. It also includes a couple things coming up. This September 22nd, the Exchange Club is doing their annual golf fundraiser. It supports the neighborhood. I think tickets close today, Mark, is that right?
Sounds right.
Yeah, but anyway, you should know about the Exchange if you don't, look them up. And then on Saturday, the 24th, there's a Tian Queasley celebration at Creative Alliance and a number of other events that you all heard about tonight. Don't forget about First Friday Art Walks. And I just wanted to plug that we're doing our Main Street Trick or Treat. Trick or Treat on Main Street is back on October 31st. We'll always be on October 31st. It's a Monday from 3 to 6, and I'll have more information again next month. But I think because of both early voting that's happening at the Southeast Anchor Library and also a lot of construction that you may have seen at the corner of Eastern and Conkling, we are going to relocate sort of our photo taking gathering place down to Creative Alliance for that event, just so we have a little bit more room on the sidewalk. I also wanted to say that from Highlandtown Main Street, we are working closely with the city planning department and a number of different agencies to address the building at the corner of Eastern and Conkling. We all were under the impression through the plans that were submitted to us that the building was going to remain and additional stories would be built on top. That's clearly not what has happened. The entire building has come down. And so I just want you to know we haven't made a statement publicly at this time because we're still working with the city to see what the plan is moving forward with the developers so that it can go back hopefully through review of what their new plan for a full basically new construction would be. So we'll keep you all posted, and it will of course go through to the design team, and we're going to ask for it to get pushed back through the city for review before they continue moving forward. Anything, and if you have any other questions for Highlandtown Main Street, you can come find me after the meeting.
All right, Dr. Nunley. And while he's making his way up here, I am going to point something out that is fairly new. However, the Highlandtown Community Association is making the effort to make our meetings paperless. In other words, if you bring flyers here, put them into somebody's hands and then carry what is left out with you. Do not leave them on a table when you leave. You can't imagine how much recycling I have put in my bin over the years. So yeah, if you're going to bring a paper, put it in somebody's hand or take it out with you, or send it to us at highlandtown21224@gmail.com, and we will find places to post it.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Dr. Larry Nunley. I am your liaison from the DPW, Department of Public Works. I will be participating in the October 12th event, but I wanted you all to know who I was because as your liaison, any issues or concerns that you may have on top of the ground, that's four-legged rats, not the two-legged rats, I do four. And then underground water issues, that is all mine. But that means that I need you to call 311. And once you call 311, get that confirmation number. Once you get the confirmation number, then all you have to do is either email me or text me with that confirmation number, the address of what you're talking about, your name and number. The reason I want you to send it to me is because the majority of the time, 311 tells you it's going to be 10, 15, 20 days, whatever it's going to be. However, I have an opportunity in most cases to move that, to speed it up a little bit. What happens, and most people don't have much, I say most people, a lot of people don't have much faith in 311. 311 is actually just a center that we use to put your issue to the right agency. So code enforcement is the first one that hits the ground at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning to turn around and find out what your issue was, and to go and, for an example, dumping, looking at trash bags, opening them up. Sometimes you'll see these little orange stickers on them. That means that they went into the bags looking for addresses. The addresses will tell them who they should be sending a bill to. Then they send that to us. We can do nothing without code enforcement giving notice to the individuals who are doing this, or in some cases, I live in the neighborhood and it was raining really hard one day and I didn't ever trash outside my house. Most people know I work for Department of Public Works and I didn't do anything. Well, one of my neighbors called it in. When I got back, I found that I had a notice and asking me to come to the environmental board, which was a citation. At that time, I worked for Stephanie Rollins Blake. So I handed it to her and she asked me, what am I supposed to do with this? And I said, well, you know, you're the mayor. And she said, oh no, I don't know what happened, but don't go on my dime. I got my own troubles. So what I'm saying to you is this: when you see some trash, either in back of your house, in front of your house, call it in. Do not give someone else an opportunity to say it's yours. You call it in, we will certainly come out and pick it up. There is one thing I want to tell you. When you see a group cleaning an alley, but they don't clean at an adjacent alley, okay? That's because it was not called in. All of our trucks now have GPSs. If they're picking up trash on one side and there's trash across the street, meaning dumping, and they don't pick it up, it's because it was not called in. If they go over and pick that particular trash up, we have about 225 stops for each group that goes out each day. If they miss their stops, they look at their GPS. The GPS says they went somewhere else. That's called a lark. Individuals lose their jobs. So I want you to know what's going on. The more you call into 311, just like the more you call into 911, you'll get more and more services. They're asking for the areas that have the biggest problems. But the only way we know you have problems is for you to call it in. If you call in something that they tell you, I say they, 311, tells you, oh, it's already been called in, then you ask for that confirmation number. Said, then will you give me the confirmation number? When you get the confirmation number, what are you supposed to do with that? Anybody? Do what? Thank you. Send it to me. Okay. Give me an opportunity to help you out. Okay. Now, my name is Larry Nunley. My email address is Larry, Larry, .Nunley. That's N-U-N, nut, nut, L-E-Y. Come on, guys. I mean, come on, we can laugh a little bit behind that, right? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. At Baltimore City, and Baltimore City is one word, .gov. Okay. Telephone number 443-615-2626. 443-615-2626. 2626. Some of you may have a different number from me that does work. That's my personal cell. This one that I just gave you is my job cell. Remember this, one thing I want to tell you. And we're in church, so we know that bad times, I call it something else when I'm not in church. Bad times comes at 5 minutes to 5 when everybody's getting off. Doesn't come at 3:30, 2:30, 1:30, basements flooding, all of that. I want you to remember you can call me. You can send me, all I ask you to do is call 311. Pipes busted. I don't know whose pipe it is, but my basement is filling up with water. You need help. Saturday, Sunday, do not wait until Monday to call me, because by Monday, all the other people who got problems have called me already too. So give me an opportunity to help you. I ask you all. Yes, ma'am. Sure. 443-615-615-2626. And again, please, my job is to help you. I enjoy what I do and I do it well, but I can only do it with your help. So thank you. Sure. Questions, please.
I called 311 with the other city building on Harmontown.
Okay.
And it was somebody on the mattress beside the crash.
Yes, ma'am.
People tell me, don't you have a babies? I said, no, babies do not move mattress. I said, I've been calling.
Well, you know what I want you to do? When you get that and they're not giving you a confirmation number because they're not supposed. Okay, you did right there, but I'd also like to know about it. Because even though she's got a supervisor, I will call their boss's boss, or I have my boss, because we're here to serve you. Your taxes pays for our salaries. And if we're not willing to do our work, then maybe we should find a new job. Okay? Yes,
Question.
go ahead.
There's a empty house up there. I think it should be condemned. It's like.
It's a vacant.
In there, and weeds are growing so high, trash is getting, I've reported this over and over and over again. And
Okay.
it comes up SR, something close.
The SR is the number.
But something needs to be done because rats are running rampant.
Okay, here's what I'd like you to do today when you go home. Okay, call 311. They tell you your numbers
I
up,
have a number on my phone.
send that to me, but also don't just report that it's high grass and weeds. Report that it's rats. That's a different category altogether. Report that it's dumping. If she says, well, or he says, well, I have to give you another confirmation number. You say, read it off to me then. Give them everything that's going on around you, because we have different sections that do different things. But if you call me after that, send me a text or an email, because everybody doesn't have that. Okay. If you do not know how to do an email or a text, just call me. Okay. I will return your call. Yes, yes, sir. Reverend?
I think Natalie online has a question. I think she's gonna unmute and ask the question.
Please.
She's gonna unmute herself. Go
Yes,
for it,
thank
Natalie.
you. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yeah, 1 second. We're gonna turn it up a little bit.
Uh-huh. I'm good. Okay, I said this in the chat. The question I had is that we have a terrible problem with rats on our block. We're close to the alley, and rats that run from the alley. There are many different businesses, and they make it all the way to my home and stop at my home because we have a really good solid fence on one of the sides, and they like my home. So should I report my own home that I have a problem, or should I keep trying, like put it on businesses? Who should I report in the 311?
You have a question that you have trash, and because I didn't get all of it, what is?
It's not quite trash. Sometimes it's trash, but we definitely have a rat infestation in the alleys, and there are many food businesses in that alley.
So there's rats all over the alley.
Got it.
So like their nest is not in her backyard.
It's in other people's.
Well, other people's backyards, and there's businesses too. And so when she calls it in, how is she supposed to call it in? Because it's not localized at her address, but it's the whole alley.
Then
And so
if
what do you
it's
do?
the 3100 block of so-and-so, even side, outside in the alley, or between, let's say it's between Lombard and it's between, what's the next street? Pratt?
Yeah.
Okay, let's say it's between Lombard and Pratt, the alley between those two, the 3400 block. Okay? That's what she designates, the whole alley. Don't just say, you know, and they say, well, what is it? It's the 3100 block. Okay? And that way, when the rat rub out comes, he will come out and look at the whole, assess the whole alley. Okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, and if you have any other issues, I hope you wrote down my name and numbers, but you have any other issues dealing with that where, for an example, individuals are putting out trash right after the trash man comes. Okay, or better yet, we're in our trash truck on trash day and they picked up all the trash and you go out of your house right after they leave and there's an odor, there's a stench that you've never smelled before. It's because our trash truck is leaking. It is not supposed to be doing that. You need to call that in right away. Call it in right away, reach out to me right away, and we'll have somebody come back out and get that. Okay? That's what we do. We don't turn around and second guess you. But I asked you, just be truthful. Don't pull us into something because everybody is doing something almost 24/7 in our city under DPW. Okay? All right, someone said something in the back. I think she said something. Did I hear somebody say something? I'm sorry. Yes, it's called Rat Rub Out. Yes. And also, I wanted to say this too, because we've got at one of my meetings that coming up with next month, we're going to have the individual who's a specialist who does Rat Rub Out. So if there's a time where you know, it's rat rub out, it's about the billing system, the water billing, all of that, you got issues. And you want to bring that person or that can give you some real answers, we can do that too, to your meetings. Okay, but you need to set that up with your president, but it works. And then, because all you got is my name, now you got somebody else's name that you can go directly to. When I send you back an email saying I'm working on it, I tell you that I've sent it to the appropriate section. Because many of us, once we get a name, we call that person for everything, which takes away from what you need, okay? Yes, ma'am, do you have your hand up? No? Okay, all right. Anyone? Yes, ma'am. I certainly will. It is 443-615-2626. Okay? And we can and do go out on walks, community walks where we walk through your neighborhood and all of that. Sure, that set up, it's best set up through your community association. But all I ask is that when you do set it up, you include us all. Because I can go and do a walk and see certain things that DOT is supposed to take care of, that the police department is supposed to take care of, that Rec and Parks is supposed to take care of. We can have all of those individuals walking with us so that when they see it, they have to deal with it now. And that's minus the 311. That's us doing what we're supposed to do. But that again, as a community, and you ask for it, you will get what you want.
Do you ever do walks down an area?
We do walks everywhere, ma'am. It's just,
Like Mount Pleasant Avenue, Grundy Street.
yep, you request. If he requested, you talk to him about it, you put it together. I will certainly help you put it together, making sure that all of those agencies are involved.
The reason I ask is because years ago, I requested 311 for speed bumps on Grundy Street because I seen they put some on Eden Street.
That's DOT.
Okay, and there's like dirt bikes racing down that
Mhm.
street sometimes, and this is a senior residence building where they are.
Okay.
So they told me I need to contact Brewers Hill Association.
Who?
Brewers Landing, that's what I was told in my email.
No. Talk to him. Talk to him. And besides that, one of the things, a lot of people think, okay, the biggie about speed bumps is that one, the fire department looks on it kind of slow because I'm trying to get to you. Now I've got to slow down to deal with your fire. Okay. But some people say, well, just give me the rumble. These little, the little small ones. It is great to have it until 2 a.m. hits. And your whole house is going, and you're going, oh my God. Well, that's might not what you be saying, but what I'm saying to you is watch what you ask for. DOT will come out and do a study. They have to study it. You have to know the time that individuals are speeding through your neighborhood because they will sit there and watch during that time. And if it doesn't happen, you don't qualify. So, yes.
You're very good, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dr. Nunley. Like he said, city services cannot be everywhere at all times. They really depend on us to be their eyes and ears. So like I said, make 311 your friend, use it often. All right, so now, we are way off schedule now. So I believe I've gotten everybody from the floor. Mel?
Hey, Mel, just make sure who's ever speaking, make sure they're right on the mic so our friends at home can hear.
I'll do most of it if it's okay.
Great.
My name is Mel Kadensky. I'm the attorney for the bar that's it's really a misnomer. It's really not a transfer. What had happened in this case is that the same people that you see where they'll be their 6th year they were there. They had the fire in May of 2021. And was followed with another fire in December 2021, caused about $800,000 worth of damage to the building. I don't think any of you were old enough to go there when Jenny Gibb had the place. It's my cousin's place. Maybe some of you are. You were? You don't look that old to me. But in any case, but due to the fact that the place was closed, over the period of time, they had to file for another application for a transfer, although they're the same people. The place is being rebuilt at this point, probably be open maybe, hopefully around November. It's being brought up to code because now with it being a new building, the operation was, although the general public is always invited in the place, I would say it's probably from talking to them, it's about 99% Latino. That people that work in the different various trades, and when they finish working, they come there to get a bite to eat and drink when people that are speaking the main similar language. They're going to have building will be lit. They'll have security cameras of which they'll feed into the City Watch program, which I think is very good. And on the weekends when they have any type of entertainment there, they'll make sure that they have security, which they've had in the past. It was just unfortunate that they had a fire. First of all, the first fire was started in an apartment above the business. The second one was when contractors were working there, and I'm not sure what they did to cause the problem. That location has probably had a license there probably since Prohibition. And that block used to have quite a few other places that were there. One of the pluses in this case that Blanca Pasquera here, who's the main licensee, she lives in the 3900 block of East Pratt Street. So she lives, she's a resident in the same area, and she lives in the next block over. Other than that, they would, of course, know they have to abide by the rules and regulations. They intend to, cooperate with, any of the community groups, although there are not many in that area than where she is. And like I say, it's not a strict transfer to anybody new. If the place would have been stayed open, October would have been their 6th year that they were there. And of course, they had the same problems everybody had with COVID and trying to survive. But at this point, their economic loss that they had is tremendous. So to get the place back open. The landlord is here, Mr. Jim Baker, who owns Tiffany's, and he's been here a lifelong person, and he's helped them rebuild the place up to code. And other than that, they're ready to go. Yeah.
If I recall, in the years leading up to the fire, in addition to the kind of the main building on the corner itself, there was an extension off the back with like a little patio in front, and it seemed like maybe it was a secondary use, like one side was more bar and one side was more restaurant, or is it all one place? Or just describe, like, is it one business with 2 operations, or is it one main operation?
No, it just wasn't operational like it's always been. It goes from a Lumber Street, you think, to Mount Pleasant. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, down.
Yeah,
towards Mount
yeah,
Pleasant.
yeah. And they had, they always had outdoor table service. It was on the UNO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was, it seemed like the signage was different at one point in time, like the signage on the corner was different from the one in the middle. And so I was just curious about the history of that and whether both sides were being rebuilt and reopened.
They would. What?
That's two addresses in one. It's 39, 25 to 27 here.
Yeah.
It was
That-
only 39, 27 years ago.
Gotcha.
Can
Yeah.
I ask you a question
Hmm.
too? You say the neighborhood, they don't, only Spanish people allowed to go in their restaurant because somebody in my senior building went over there to play pool and they didn't allow them in there. So
Who
it's
didn't?
not for the community.
Who
It's
didn't
those
do
people.
that?
Huh?
Who didn't let somebody in there?
The people at their bar that you try and open up.
Did you ever try? Did you try to get in there?
No, but she tried to get it there. He told her, no, they don't let nobody in but a German lady went over there and they told her that no Americans were allowed.
Oh,
And she wouldn't lie. I knew that. lady.
I wouldn't say a German person lies. I mean, you know what the name of the person was? Maybe we'll ask her.
Both are dead and gone now. My thing is with this bar,
Hmm.
and I know they don't like me, but I never wished the bar burned down. But when it was my cousin's place, there was never a shooting on the side door. There was never a fire, and it was a nice neighborhood bar. These things are turning into nightclubs. Okay, they're nightclubs, and it's not a place where the neighbors can go anymore. We're importing people to drive in and take out
Well,
all our parking spaces.
I don't know how many of the people that are here were ever in the place in the last 4 or 5 years. Do we know anybody who's been in there? So, I mean, you're.
I used to go there. You can hear beer bottles all night long in the dumpster. We got 4 bars all around us already. 7 bars around. No, we got 9 bars and a 2
Hold on,
operation.
Question, is, sorry, just in terms of like, maybe you didn't mention this, I know we're talking about liquor license, is there a live entertainment license? Yes, no?
Yes, there is. Yeah, they have a UNO for it.
But that's fine, I'm just asking the question.
And
So what, live entertainment covering all manner of live entertainment, or is it just DJ, or is it live music,
they
or?
could have DJ, they could have karaoke for people who want to sing. They could have, small. Couple, they could have a couple piece band that would play there.
Right, so all the normal
Yeah,
uses
yeah.
are covered.
But they can't have adult entertainment.
I understand.
That's for the place up the street.
I've heard.
But when it was my cousin's place, all we could have was a jukebox, and if it was too loud, we had to lower it.
Well, that's
So
not,
when they
that's
took
not
over-
exactly true because I knew Jenny.
When they took over years ago, the seniors and me and my neighbors would complain about music, and the liquor board would go say, oh, it's quiet now. The minute they left, they turned it up again.
So, there was a question from somebody online in the chat, so I just wanted to name it.
Sure.
2 fires in a year, I mean, obviously devastating for you all, very concerning for all of us. We've had lots of fires in Highland Center over the years, and it's a row house neighborhood. They don't stay in one place. Were you ever able to figure out the cause of the fires? And if so, was it something you were able to rectify in your rebuilding process?
Well, I'm looking at the fire department. Well, the first one was electrical. And from its origin was the upstairs, and the second one was when the contractors were working on it, it caused another problem. And of course, nobody wants to own up to it. So that was they were on their way to go forward. In the police report, they say natural fire incident, whatever a natural fire incident is. I don't know, but I know they wanted to, get started because they wanted to get, and serve the landlord also.
So the first one, oh, right, because you're on here. The first one was electrical, the second one was during construction.
I have a question. Is there any way we can find out how many bathrooms they're gonna have for the men? Because they like peeing against our walls and in my alley and against cars. I have videos and pictures. And if something isn't done, I'm gonna keep these videos and pictures and fight it again. Because they shouldn't be pissing outside when they only have one bathroom, I guess.
No, they do not.
No, before.
No, but before they open, if you give Brian your name, we'll have you come in, you can walk through. Would you do that and report back?
Yeah, I don't want you.
Now, you can come back here too.
I can't too, because I want the owner to tell me that Americans can come in instead of just Spanish. Because it's just supposed to be a neighborhood. thing
If somebody,
for everybody.
if somebody said that to you, did somebody say that to you?
I'm gonna take a video.
Or take a video, that'd be fine.
And then you gotta think about, we live in a senior building. We gotta, they park in our parking spots, they pee in our branches.
You ought to take a picture, take a picture who's peeing, and then take that picture, and that person has a personal responsibility. And you say, this person is a peer, and put it in your community bulletin. Yeah.
We have a question online, right, Ann? All right, and he's unmuted, so I think, go ahead and ask.
Okay, yes, I'm here. I'm a resident of the Highlandtown Plaza Co-op. And I'm going to give you an idea of some of the things we deal with here. We're bordered on four sides: Pratt Street south, Lombard Street north, Haven Street to the east, and of course, Grundy Street to the west. And we are bordered by 3, 4, 5 different establishments that sell alcohol. And of course, there's an internal and entertainment, I assume. Also, I understand that the ex-cousin's place is also applying for outdoor music, entertainment, also for serving food outside. Now, we have to deal with the leftovers of the broken bottles on the sidewalks, the drunken fights that wake everybody up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. On all 3 sides, all 4 sides, actually, we have to deal with the condoms and the drug needles in our parking lot. We have to deal with the people who park their cars around there, which is a major problem in this area, adequate parking for all these businesses, plus the residents. All of this presents a problem. Our building houses people who are 62 years old or older, our oldest being in the 90s. We don't need the noise, we don't need the garbage, and anything we can get that will alleviate the trash that we have to pick up, the broken glass, the empty bottles, the cups, the excess food when people sit in their cars in the evenings or in the mornings and feed themselves. These are the problems that we deal with. And we don't need anything that's going to add to that situation. I don't exaggerate. If anybody really wants to learn, come spend some time with us. We have to ask people to leave our parking lot. They want to fight, they want to threaten us. If anybody throws stuff on our sidewalks, which we have to clean up, they want to argue with us and threaten us. Seniors don't need that. This is also not just a business zone, but it's also a residential area. And I think if I went around here 2 or 3 blocks in either direction in a circumference, we have a liquor store in the lot right across from us. We have a liquor store down the block from where your establishment is. This place is flooded with alcohol. And we know what happens when alcohol and people overindulge. And we have to experience that result. And we're tired of it and we need some relief. So we don't need anything that's going to add to the aggravation of what we deal with here. We're also voters. We have 75 units here, and on occupied, we have a handful of seniors. So we also vote. So, we're complaining, we expect to be heard, and we expect to have a little relief. So that's all I have to say, and thank you for listening.
Well, the only question I have is, have you ever come over to talk to Ms. Blanca about any of these situations?
We have addressed it with different people.
No, I'm
And
asking.
I'm not, and frankly, I'm not
Okay.
interested in what goes on inside your establishment. I'm only interested in the aftermath of what we deal with.
Because I mean, she's available all the time. She lives right around the street. So it's not like she's not a resident in the area.
And so how's that going to solve my problem? Is she's prepared to come clean up the streets?
I don't know if she will. You had the man
I
here.
don't
You
know
could
if she
call him
will
and he
either.
would
I
come
know
down and
what
clean
we
the
have
streets
to
up
do
for you.
here. I have no idea what she's prepared to do. I just know what we have to do in order to keep ourselves clean, try to give people decent rest. These people are older. They need something other than all this noise, the broken bottles, the arguments.
Do you have any other questions regarding?
Well, I think maybe a path forward, as I understand it, this is coming up on Thursday, right?
Correct.
For the liquor board. It seems as though, well, at least maybe from the community, I'm not speaking for all of us, but maybe it seems as though some more information and conversation might be helpful around some of the details. I heard an offer for a walkthrough and a visit from
Once it gets finished.
from Mr. Kadinsky once it's finished. I know also, granted, it hasn't been open for a while because of the fire, and I'm very sorry for that. But I know usually it's very helpful, especially because it's the same owners, to look at previous 911 calls when it was operating, also look at liquor board records or citations. That's always information that we just want to make sure we look at as a community before we go ahead and support an application, generally speaking. So I know I would want to see that information and maybe have a walkthrough before we took action as a whole.
Look, if you really want to check police records, see how many calls they've made to the establishment located on Pratt Street across from our facility. And the fights that are broken out there, the police cars that spent time there calming down this.
Well, sure.
And the cars that have been struck that are parked on the street where the drunken drivers are coming out and taking off and sideswiping.
No, I really appreciate that. I just want to make sure that the records we're looking at are specifically to these operators in this establishment, just so, I mean, granted, there is a bigger picture and a bigger problem, but I want to make sure that we're taking a good hard look specifically at their record.
I just have one more thing. I've noticed in the past that people leave the bar with alcohol, with bottles in their hand. That does not these security guards that stand at the door check people before they leave? Because they park on my street and God knows if they're gonna hit one of our cars. You know, it's a lot of problems, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm a Christian woman. I actually said a prayer before I came here for God to guide me with this, but it's just crazy. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness should go for everybody. And bars should have everybody going to them, and we shouldn't have, and I would like to see if we can contact the owner of the parking lot and tell all these bar people to park over there. Because we need parking space. I've got family that comes home after 9 in the evening and they can't park.
I've got to wrap this. I know we talked about all that in the past, and I want to thank the person involved. Do you have anything else?
No, nothing further, other than I would say is that, you know, as well as I did, you put a package good license in that shopping center. And you also had a transfer about 2 or 3 weeks ago on Haven Street. You know, so it's no different than these people have been there and so forth. So that's basically our what we want to do.
Excuse me?
What?
May I speak?
I have one thing to say and then I'll shut up if I may. Does Baltimore City have any policy regarding zoning codes relevant to liquor stores and bars? Or is it just if you can afford to open one, you get down there and open one? Because we certainly have a plethora of them in the neighborhood.
We also had Barb who's trying to speak as well. Barb is also trying to speak. She can't hear you. It's okay. Don't unmute. Don't unmute. Oh, that's cool. The question is there anything in zoning?
Is there any zoning policy relevant to liquor stores and bars in Baltimore? Because we have a numerous of them in this what is basically used to be a residential area. And I'm wondering, just is there any limit to how many they can put in a square mile? or per resident? Because the percentage is rather high. I'm just curious.
Got it. Good evening, everybody. I'm Matt Ockheimer, Community Liaison with the Liquor Board. There is no specific limit in this area. There are some in some other areas of the city by law. That is something that the state legislators can control the amount of licenses that are in. Part of this is a transfer of a location that is existing and has been in operation. So you are sort of limited on those things that will stop it. I do want to note the record of the establishment is located on the Liquor Board hearing website. If you go to hearing schedules, you'll find September 22nd. Part 2 is on page 54. That does have the full application as well as the full record that will give everybody a good look at. And then the hearing is scheduled for Thursday, this coming Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Any member of the public, association, et cetera, is able to come and testify, submit letters of opposition, that kind of thing, either in person or before the hearing. You do want to get those in sooner than later, preferably tomorrow at 10:30. So they're in the record, but if not, you can come in person. So Brian just asked me if it's too late to get a postponement. I cannot speak for the board in terms of that question, but it is never too late to ask for a postponement, and that is up to the board to grant that postponement. So I'll leave that up to you all. Make that action.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mel. Thank you.
Mel, I was going to see. I know we're behind, but a few things that were.
Come up here, please.
Okay, thanks for taking the time. My name's Jim Baker. So I own Tiffany's Catering, which is on Lombard and Haven. My family's been in the neighborhood since the 1900s. My grandfather used to have Bud Paulino's restaurant. Anybody familiar, if you're familiar with Hausner's and Cousins? So Miss Maria lives on Mount Pleasant, so we're familiar. Before Blanco took over, the bar was owned by my parents, and my parents bought it from Miss Patty, Mr. Ali, who was Miss Jenny's daughter. So we owned it, they owned it for 10, 12 years. A few things she stated, I just want to correct. It's had live entertainment since my parents had it. The outdoor seating that you referred to, sir, we had that also. So all that's not something new that they're asking for. That's been current, you know. So, and she stated that when it was my cousin's place, a few things, which wasn't true because all that was existing, you know. So it's not something new that they're asking for. All that's been, you know, in existence, you know. And another thing, if there's anything problems with the community association, they can always contact me also, because we're vested in the neighborhood. So obviously I'm the landlord. Obviously I have a financial investment, but we want to make sure everything flows with the community association, with the neighbors and everything else. We do sweep every day. Lombard Street, Grundy, Fagley, where I have property, and we sweep the whole block. So we do sweep every day. Do some of the bottles come from their bar? Who knows? But you know, there's people that just drink, sitting on their steps and leave bottles out also, you know, so. But I just want to clarify those things because, you know. Baker. 443-956-0784. And like I said, I have Tiffany's. I've been there for 35 years myself. It was my grandparents since the 40s. And then my grandfather's uncle had the bar before that, you know. So it's been in the family. So thanks for your time.
All right, thanks for the clarity, Jim. I think Maria and the other people are not so concerned about the, you know, to be honest, what was grandfathered in with the change of management over the years, you know, isn't necessarily relevant if they see a big change of behavior from the clientele and the management of the facility. So we will base our letter of support or our the words of an MOU that we will seek to apply at a bare minimum or a potentially a request to deny these requests. Whatever the case may be, we will base it on the behavior of the existing management and the people who have been attending there, and we will try to do that quickly. I will be asking for a postponement. I was led to believe that this was not going to hit the liquor board docket until next month. So this is news to me that Thursday is our deadline. But we will address this between the members of the board. We will take further input from the residents of those immediate surrounding blocks, and we've heard from some of them today. And we'll be in touch. And Jim, I will give you a call tomorrow just to have a little offline discussion, and let's see what we can do and kind of come to some agreement here. With that, go ahead. I have one more.
3927.
3927 East Lombard. It's at the corner of East Lombard and Grundy. And I guess that is it. I want to thank everybody for, oh, go ahead. All the way up.
Thank you. I'll be like 30 seconds because everyone, I thank you, Aaron, for covering most of what I could have talked about, but won't. And thank you, Larry, for your being our fearless liaison. I am Megan Hazen from DPW. I have Tatiana online in the Zoom meeting. I just wanted to announce that the initiative to identify projects that was talked about, I have information in both English and Spanish in the back if you'd like more information or to share it. I also have maps of this location zoomed in on the church if you'd like to share that. And if you have any questions, our contact information is on the back of those flyers. Okay. Available in both languages. Thanks. Oh, I promise I will not leave a single piece of paper here. I feel that.
All right. Takes a DPW person to know that we do need more paper. So with that, I want to thank everybody for coming. I do want to thank everybody for their patience. We've run long on a couple of suits, and we had one presenter that wasn't here. So goes to show you there's a lot to talk about some days. So thanks again. That's it for now. Keep an eye on the website, www.highlandtown.com. Watch for us on Facebook. And email any questions or concerns to me at highlandtown21224@gmail.com. And I will see everybody next month. Thanks and have a great evening.
Thanks, Brian.
I have some. Sorry. Yeah, I'll email you next.
When it's appropriate.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
Sure.
you.
I-
Appreciate it.
But
Enjoy.
but I don't. That's the record standards. I understand the cost rate of all other establishments. I would too, like, you gotta take each one on its own.